Hello and welcome to Lead with LeAnn, your definitive guide for exceptional leadership and successful entrepreneurship, airing every week at 2 p.m. Pacific time exclusively on winwinwomen.tv. I am your host, LeAnn, and I'm thrilled to be sharing this journey with you. Each week on Lead with LeAnn, you'll join me as we delve into the inspiring stories of established leaders and innovative entrepreneurs. We'll uncover just what it takes to build a brand from scratch, lead with authority and grace, and turn business aspirations into tangible successes. So, whether you're embarking on a new entrepreneurial venture or looking to inject some fresh energy into an existing one, there will always be insights for you. So learn from example to lead with passion, purpose, and determination right here on Lead with LeAnn. And let's start turning your goals into reality now. Today, I am excited to introduce my guest. She is a personal bookkeeper, CFO, financial coach, and owner of Stewardship Advisory Services. After spending more than 20 years in banking, Sara left the corporate world and added small business owner to her resume. In 2022, Sara launched Stewardship Advisory Services, a boutique financial services firm whose mission is to equip clients with the tools, resources, and support they need to make informed financial decisions that align with their goals and values. I wanted to slow down on that point because that's pretty important. So at the heart of it all is the focus on financial stewardship, along with Sara's passion to help clients take control of their finances so they have less stress, more freedom, and the time to enjoy their lives. Sara, are you there? Come
I
forward.
am. Hey.
Good to
Hey,
see you.
LeAnn. Good to
Welcome
see
back.
you. Thank you.
We've had so much fun talking and, just a few minutes here, but a couple months ago when we first met, and it's just good to see your shiny face again.
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited to be here. Appreciate it.
What's new?
Well, there's a lot going on lately. A lot of we were talking earlier about going with the flow and I'm doing that. We've got some travel plans coming up and just doing some things around the house. Added some chickens. We've got some chickens now. So we're true homesteaders, I think.
Very fun. How many chickens did you get?
Yeah, 18.
Wow, that's a lot. Very
It's a
cool.
lot. It's a lot of chicken energy.
And how many eggs will that produce? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. They just started to
Hmm.
lay. So they're in the early stages and they're very cute. They're tiny little eggs. So I don't know. I'm sure that we'll have enough to share with our neighbors, which that's going to be fun too. So
A friend of mine just got 20 and they also just started laying. And the very first one was super tiny. And
yeah.
then they cracked it open and it was a double yolk.
Oh, wow. That's supposed to be good luck.
Oh, really? Oh, I'll
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
pass that on.
yeah.
Excellent. Very cool. What inspired you to get chickens? It was the homesteading thing?
Well, we eat a lot of eggs. When I was a kid, I had an uncle who used to take me out and collect the eggs when I'd go over and visit. So that was always a really good memory. And then my husband had eggs when he was growing up, chickens. So I don't know. I think it was just we wanted to try it and see how it would go, and here we are.
I'm sorry, that was cute. He had eggs when he was growing up.
Yeah.
That was so cute. I love that. But you also mentioned getting ready for travel, and you're a business owner. You can't travel. You're not allowed. You're chained to your desk 24/7, aren't you?
Yeah, isn't that funny? You would think so. But one of the best things about being a small business owner and being an entrepreneur is just the freedom. I never understood or realized the freedom that comes with owning your own business. I mean, you have to obviously serve your clients well, and you still have to fulfill commitments, but you can set your own schedule. So I have the ability to travel and work while I travel and get the best of both worlds. So yeah, it's amazing.
So, do you have trouble, kind of shutting down work when you're traveling though?
Well, I'm an early riser. So what I need to get done, I get done first thing, and then it's off to the races for the rest of the day. So it doesn't interfere. I'm pretty adept at figuring out how much I can handle and being able to manage my schedule. So I've been very fortunate in that I can crack out early and get it done and go off and enjoy things.
Well, I know one of your titles says CFO, so Chief Financial Officer, but fractional. Am I correct?
Yes, so I help people with their personal finances. So it's a personal CFO approach. And I really bring that structure and organization that a lot of businesses have in their finances, the way they approach their finances. I like to apply that methodology to the household and to really create some systems and some organization and look for ways to help them reduce costs or whatever the case may be. So that's where the CFO comes into play.
So, in other words, you're not really talking with most of these families like on a daily basis or maybe not even weekly. Am I right?
So I review accounts weekly, but typically I meet with clients at least once a month. Most of them prefer a monthly call. Some of them are quarterly. It's customizable. It depends on what their needs are. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm not talking to them every day, but I am looking at their finances on a weekly basis.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. And that then also makes sense how you can manage to, take a break, go on vacation.
I know. It's a pretty sweet setup.
It is. So I know when businesses start up, and you started this business, I believe, in 2022, you said,
Mhm.
that when they start up, it's kind of like, I'll take anyone anywhere, I'll take as many as I can get. And usually it's not necessarily like everybody, you start a business and a month later you're full up. What
Mhm.
was your experience though?
Well, my experience was when I left banking, I was on a mission to help rising juniors and seniors teach them personal finance. So I actually started out with I wrote a personal finance curriculum. And so that ended up being very rewarding and in terms of and framework and foundationally. I mean, I did a lot of thinking and planning and organizing and all of the things. And looking back on it, it was certainly I think it paved the way for what I'm doing now. But that's where I started was I was just passionate about seeing our kids not getting the information and the education that they need about finances and then being thrown into the adult world and not it's like sink or swim kind of thing. So that's what motivated me. Well, and then along the way, people were asking me because I had been in banking for so long, hey, can you help me with my finances? Can you help me, organize, coach? No, 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 I'm not going to do that. And I kept wondering to myself, why am I turning this down? Why am I saying no all the time? What am I missing here? And so then I accepted a few coaching clients and that changed and morphed into I realized that there were so many people out there who needed hands on, like they needed somebody to handle the heavy lifting of managing their finances. So that's where the personal bookkeeping came into play. So I will say, LeAnn,
Mhm.
you start your business and you think it's going to be this way and then you realize it's not going to be that way. It's going to be something maybe similar. I'm certainly on the similar path. It's always been about financial literacy and helping people with their money, but it's not looking like what I thought it was initially going to look like. But that's the beauty of it too, and that's part of why I try to go with the flow because you know, if I had been so steadfast in thinking it was going to have to be just the way I had envisioned it, I would have missed out on so much opportunity and working with so many clients who, I am so blessed in so many ways. So
Well, you know what they say, we make plans, God laughs.
exactly. That's
I like
right,
that.
for
When you
sure.
when you said juniors and seniors, at first I was like, okay, seniors are age 65 plus, juniors, and then I'm like, oh, she means high school,
High school, yeah.
which is cool because I think we have talked that, there is a real lack of financial literacy. I mean, I
Mhm,
have 20-something-year-old daughters and they are great. They're really, really good. But we had them go through like Financial Peace University, even
mhm.
in high school. We encouraged them to go
That's
through
great.
it and really understand what they were doing. And I think they learned from our mistakes a little bit too, because I won't say we were completely open with our finances, but we weren't completely closed either.
Mhm.
So there's that. But I think a lot of families, money is what almost as taboo as a lot of other things.
Well, and you think about it too, if you are coming from a place of being uncertain of how to manage your own money, you might not feel competent enough to help, your children in the household and help them too. So you're right. I mean, money is it's a very strange, it's a very strange thing. Um, and it can certainly, I was talking with somebody today about divorces, and when things are going well with money, when money is good and it's flowing and it's coming and everybody's happy, a lot of things can be swept under the rug, and people can, they can overlook some things that might irritate them. Or when the money is gone, now suddenly all of this stuff starts to boil up to the surface. It's just interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree. And I think it occurred to me while we were talking that, or while you were talking, that, that maybe it's also because when people put money on such a pedestal, which many
Mm-hmm.
people do, and
Mm-hmm.
so they put it on a pedestal as this marker of keeping up with the Joneses and
Right.
all the things. And then if they're not able to, it becomes more, even more personal, really, than if it was, I don't know, not having the right piece of clothing or the right car. If your car flunks out, everybody understands car problems, right?
Yeah. I
But
don't know who said it, but comparison is the thief of joy,
100%.
and social media. I mean, there's so much pressure and stress, and we think that we have to live up to an ideal or a standard. And so, yeah, and money is certainly at the center of a lot of those issues.
Yeah, 100%. Put a pin in that for a moment. I just want to say welcome to any live streamers. You are welcome to come on over to visit us live and watch and talk with Sarah and myself. If you'd like, come on over to winwinwomen.tv. And right at the top of the page, there's a little plaque. Hit the green button and you'll join our show. You will not be visible and we will not be able to hear you, but you can chat with us in our texting or in the messages area, chat area of Zoom. So it'll be really nice and easy. Anybody listening to the show on replay, well, come and join us live next week, 2 p.m. Pacific time. And we appreciate your comments and shares on social media as well. So back to what you were just saying, Sarah, that um, a lot of things can get swept under the rug with finances. You've been in banking for 20 years before you started this. Were you
Mhm.
still banking as you kind of started this? How long did it take for you to make the transition to full time with this?
So I left the bank in February of 2022. So I officially formed the company in September of 21, and I was working with a business coach at that time. So I was employed with the bank between September and February. So just a few months before I just took a leap of faith and jumped out. Um, not too much time had passed. And part of that was, because I was intent on working with young adults, and I was really focused on helping them recognize that debt is bondage. I felt as a commercial lender that, maybe there might be there might be some uncomfortable questions, or somebody might want to know, well, how come you're doing these business loans, but you're telling these young adults that debt's not good. Well, as a side note, there's a completely different reason for taking on business debt as opposed to credit card debt. But, you know, folks like Dave Ramsey, very black and white. There's a reason to be black and white, I think, when you're talking about, especially to young adults, about debt and credit cards, because you might only hear debt's okay or credit, it's okay to have a credit card if blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like they're only going to hear what they want to hear. So I
Yeah.
came pretty hard and fast with debt's not good. And I'm still a proponent of that. I think it does lead you, it is bondage.
Yeah. We were set and managed to put our kids through college, get them out of college so that they could start without debt. And at that point, we're like, and we are done.
Yeah,
We are
that's a
giving
huge
you the
accomplishment.
best possible gift we can give you to not have college loan debt. And then, but from here on out, you're on your own. And still,
Yeah.
sometimes I think it's, so this world right now, there's so many young people who still live at home, still live in the basement, still have their hand out. Um, and I understand it, but I don't. I think we enable for so long sometimes. And I think it's more of an American thing.
Hmm.
Possible that it's in other countries as well. But there's pros and cons to everything.
Sure. Well, and it's all the more reason, I mean, for everyone to really be aware of how they're spending their money, how they're investing their money, what they're doing with it, and what's the ultimate goal. I think sometimes I think we are conditioned to just be very short term, like the here and now. We're not necessarily thinking far out.
Mm,
Um, and so I think it's important for young adults just coming out of college, Gen Zers, whatever, to understand that you can do a lot with money. So what's important to you? Is it important to go out to eat tonight, or would you rather maybe go out once during the week and then tuck away the savings for a trip to Europe or something? I think it's all about finding that balance and what's important to you. But in order to know that, you've got to start watching your dollars, and those Starbucks runs, they add up fast.
no doubt. Well, and I think, that the looking short term versus long term, that can apply to a whole lot of areas
Oh,
from
sure.
to other things as well. Well, what
Mhm.
feels good today versus what's going to really, long term be a good thing. I'm not going to go into that specifically, but you can see how it could apply, I think.
Sure.
A
Yeah,
lot.
I think delayed gratification is a concept that's very helpful to keep in front of you when you're making those plans with your money. Like, and I don't know that it's really something that we know anymore as a society, how to say no, not right now, you know. Let's
Right?
put off the good stuff for later.
For sure. So, what led you to go into banking in the first place?
I've always liked numbers. I wanted to be a CPA when I was in junior high school, and my grandfather was in banking. I think there was just something naturally that led me down that path. And it was kind of a fluke, actually. My husband, I was looking for something. He was interested in changing jobs, and so I started to look for other opportunities, and lo and behold, there was a banking opportunity I thought was really interesting. So it was a little bit of a fluke, but then it was in line with, what you said earlier about we make plans and God laughs. It was one of those things too.
And I was a math
Yeah.
nerd too. I love numbers. They were my thing. Uh,
Uh-huh.
even though it wasn't always my strongest suit. I mean, I really remember at one point, I think it was in middle school, saying, I am going to finally master this multiplication tables. Like, I'm tired of having to think through each one. I want to be able to instantly. And I went out and got flashcards and I started practicing them myself just because I wanted to get done with it. I didn't want it to be a struggle when I thought it shouldn't be.
Right. It's
But
all about practice makes perfect.
yeah. But I carried it through. I ended up taking two math classes my freshman year in high school just because I was so irritated not to be caught up to the other people in my class that were in the advanced classes. I'm like, I deserve to be there. And eventually I did get into those classes. It's just a weird.
Well, I mean, but think about that mindset though. I mean, that's really what it takes to be successful with money. You see that you want to make a change, so
Mhm.
you commit to making that change, and then you stay consistently with it. You continue it on, and it becomes a part of your nature, and it becomes a part of your life, a part of your regular structure. And so that unknowing, that stress that you can have from not knowing what's going on in your money, it's all the same mindset. It's all about seeing that there's an opportunity and just going for it and making it a habit.
Are you and my personal trainer talking? Because I could swear I just heard those same words coming from her. Oh, it's going to become easy. Oh, it's going to become natural. Oh, it's going to be. I'm like, when?
It
That
will,
is
you know,
so
it's
hard.
funny. Just think about it, your physical health, your emotional health, cleaning around the house. Like when you have a desire to make a change, a significant change in one of those areas of your life, finances are usually something that it's a good time to start examining that too. Like, okay, I'm ready to clean out the house. I want a personal organizer. I want somebody to come in and make things efficient and clean and nice. The same thing could be true about your finances too. So if you've got that mindset, if you're ready to go for it, I'd say apply it to your money too.
So in high school, you were all into numbers and stuff like that, and you kind of got right into banking right away.
Well, no. So I was actually I ended up being a history major. I studied history and French. And so that was my intention, was to do something with history, but then the banking came in. So it was, I mean, I was, yes, definitely interested in numbers, but then also history. I've got a lot of interest, LeAnn.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah,
Shouldn't
yeah,
we all?
we should, yeah.
And yet it's also important to kind of narrow down that focus. I
Hmm.
was talking to a very wise woman earlier today, actually, and she talked about needing to narrow your focus. Sometimes if you're too broad, things are, people don't know where to go. You have to keep things in alignment. We also talked about how things change. When I started this podcast or this show, I thought it was going to go one way, and lo and
Hmm.
behold, it took a turn. It's not drastically different than it started, but it's different. And it's
Hmm.
become, really a fun thing for me as opposed to a stress.
Well, and that's one of the best lessons I think I've learned, is to recognize pretty soon when when you realize something's not working in the business. Don't be afraid to just let it go and try something new. Try. I think that was something that came from the literacy and that avenue that I was going on. I held on to it for a long time. When I had all of these markers along the way that it was a different. I was supposed to go down a different road. So now I'm all about the change. If I need to make an adjustment, I'm okay with that. If it makes sense, it's not that I'm going to do it willy nilly or without some consideration and thought, but I'm willing to consider it, and I'm willing to weigh out the pros and cons and the benefits and all of those things. I'm not just going to discard it, or overlook it like I may have before.
Got it. And that kind of
Yeah.
comes with, you want to pay attention to what is working as well as what's not working, and don't get
Hmm.
too obsessed with one or the other.
Yeah. Well, and that's, again, it all goes back to money. It's wonderful what you're doing here, LeAnn, because that's the thing about your household finances. I like to start people with a framework. I use the 50/30/20 method for budgeting, and it's a framework, and it's not something that's carved in stone. There's going to be fluidity to it. There's going to be fluctuations, and I think there can be, especially if you're really unsure about what you're doing with money, there can be this mindset that if it's not this way, I'm doing something wrong. That's not necessarily so. It's just things are going to change. You just have to roll with it and figure out what's working and what's not. And somewhere in the midst of this initial process of watching your money, your cash flow, seeing where you're spending, what kind of income's coming in, somewhere in the midst of all that, you're going to come to a place of, okay, this makes sense for my life. This is working well. But it's always something that you're going to have to watch. You can't just, it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing, you know.
And so many people, I have a summit coming up. Run them 3 times a year. And we talk about 41% of people dream of owning their own business, but only
Oh,
9%, nine are actually self-employed, which
oh
leaves,
wow.
do the math, 32% of people. So a third of Americans, and this is an American study, a third of Americans dream of having their own business, of running their own business, but they're not in our shoes of being self-employed. And of those, we can't say that all of them are profitable. There's a lot of companies that aren't and won't be,
Mhm.
unfortunately. But it takes a lot to get to the point where what you've been able to do. And I will say, when you just throw all your eggs in, so to speak, you have a little bit more if you can kind of do
Yeah.
it on the side, if you think you can do it on the weekends, it's probably going to take your business a little longer to launch than if you
Mhm.
say, that's it, I'm in, let's go, like you did. It's
Mhm.
probably more likely to see that profit sooner than later. But that's my
Well,
thoughts.
yeah,
Yours?
no, I agree with that. That's when I committed 100% when I went in all the way, because I had a few 1099 contractor type things just to keep a little bit of income coming in. But I recognized that that was just pulling me in different directions. And when I let go of that and went 100% in, that's when things really started to change and the business started to grow. And I started to see a lot of what I had prayed for and coming into fruition, you know. So you're absolutely right. It will take a little bit longer. And I don't know if you can really give it all the tender nurturing that it needs in order to make it become what you want it to become or what it's supposed to become. But it's scary. I mean, it's scary. It's but it's an adrenaline rush too, you know. It's fun.
It is scary and it is adrenaline rush. I agree.
uh,
And it comes and goes, just
yeah.
because something's working at one point, like you said, it's not set it and forget it.
Hmm.
You're always going to have to be monitoring to some degree. And in financial terms, as you know, things change as your kids grow.
Hmm.
Oftentimes, I think, families may say that they're waiting to have their finances in place to have a child. And I'm like, don't bother.
Yeah.
You're never going to be prepared financially for having a child. But if you have a child, and you're determined, you will probably find a way to figure out how to care for and have that child taken care of as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep.
Yep.
So I have a question for you. If you
Sure.
look back younger than high school, maybe junior high school, but kind of before you even hit that babysitting age, like you can't really be independent. You can't really go out and make money. By the way, oh, actually, I'm going to interrupt myself. Did you have like a side gig as a kid? Were you one of the kids that was out selling something or doing something like a business
Babysitting. I
besides
was a
work?
babysitter. Yeah.
Okay. Did
Yeah.
you market your babysitting?
No, no.
Yeah, you just got
Next door
jobs,
neighbors. Yeah, it
neighbors.
was it was more of a convenience thing, I think, than any marketing skills I had.
I used to go out to the river near our house, which ran through a golf course. And, these days parents would probably have me wear a helmet, but I didn't. And I would walk in the river and find golf balls, and I would throw them up on the side or not. Sometimes, I'd lay them out and I'd sell them back to the golfers that had put them in.
Oh, ingenious.
Sometimes I'd see one go in the river, and I learned this from another kid. I didn't come up with this myself. They'd go stand on it. Nope, I don't see it. It's bright orange. Nope, don't see it. Got $1. Oh, look at that. So that was my first career making dollars off of golf balls. But
Hmm.
so what did you play? If you weren't an entrepreneur that way when you were a kid, what did you play when you were in that 10, 11-year-old age? Yeah.
Well, I was always setting up offices, you know. I mean, I'm a nerd, LeAnn.
Oh, it's great. It's
The
perfect.
nerd force is strong with this one. So I had staples, I had index cards, I had all sorts of, I got an adding machine for Christmas one year because that's what I wanted. So um yeah, I was always very much into organizing things, and looking back on it, it's blaringly obvious that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
And that is exactly why I asked that question.
Yep.
Because most people I interview in this way, it comes back to if you're happy doing what you're doing today, it's probably something that you were dreaming of or playing when you were a kid.
Hmm.
And, sometimes people realize even, that they're not doing that and that maybe they need to do more of it. But it
I
sounds
think
like
that's
you've really found your happy spot.
yeah, and I think that's a great exercise though for people too. I mean, I would never have thought to look back at what I was doing when I was 10 or 11 and see if it matches up with where I am now. So that's a great exercise.
Yeah, one woman was talking about how she used to do a lot of drawings and she was super creative and she's like, maybe I need to be doing more of that. And then I said, well, what did you draw? And she's like, oh, I would draw book covers. Guess who's an author?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. So
Uh-huh.
not only is she still very creative, but she's actually authored a book and she
Mhm.
used to be obsessed with creating book covers. Go
It's
figure.
amazing. It's
Yeah,
amazing
it's
how it
really a
works.
fun question. You mentioned, I do kind of want to ask this question too. You mentioned earlier the 50-30-20 rule. Can you give us
Mhm.
a really short explanation of that?
Yeah, so it's based on your net income. So your income that comes after taxes have been taken out. But it's the idea is setting aside 50% to needs. So like your housing payment, things that you need to survive. 30% to wants, so discretionary, and then 20% to saving or giving. And it's just I like it because it's simple. It's something that a lot of people can get behind. There's a lot of room for making adjustments according to how you're doing things. Yeah, it's all over the place. So people can Google that 50-30-20. I think Elizabeth Warren, I just found out recently she was the one that came up with this concept. So I had no idea, but a lot of people use it. It's a great way to get started if you don't know where to begin, because that's usually a big challenge for people.
Yeah, I can imagine. And for a lot of
Mhm.
people, the concept of 20% into savings or giving, that's, they'd be, oh, concept of tithing is hard for a lot of people, and that's 10%.
Hmm.
Of course, it's 10% of giving, and so
Right.
that's part of it as well.
Well, I actually threw in the giving part. It's really just 20% saving, but I'm a big fan of giving, and whether that's tithing or if you want to do some, whatever that might be, I like to plant that seed so that people will start to think about making some charitable contributions. So that's where that came from. That's my little twist.
There you go. That makes it the Sarah system.
Yes, yes, that's great.
Well, well, just a reminder, if anybody's listening to this replay, you can come see Sarah and me over on the channel on YouTube. If you want to come see it, you can check out my channel, look for Joyminder Solutions. You can also look for Win Win Women TV, and you'll find that we are there as well. So you can see our pretty shiny faces. And what are you working on next, Sarah?
I am working on, I'm doing some continuing education. I think that's important. And then I'm at a point in my business now where I'm deciding what the next step is going to look like. So I'm considering ways to add some additional services, maybe get a little bit bigger, maybe bring somebody on. So I'm at a place I really wasn't expecting to be to this quickly, to be quite honest. So, yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about strategy, but right now I'm focusing on doing some continuing ed. So that's the immediate step that I'm taking. And I'm hopeful that while I'm doing that I'll have some great ideas about what next. But it is whatever I do next, I will bring on someone to help me, maybe a business coach or someone who has some experience in what I'm thinking about doing. Because I think that's very important. I think for a small business owner, you can get so lost. Speaking for myself, I can get so lost in the weeds and so many opportunities and so many ideas and, oh, this is great. I like to have somebody from the outside that's going to give it to me straight. And I'm a firm believer in bringing in an expert to give you some guidance and to help you see things. I mean, that's not my strong suit necessarily. Marketing, SEO, so the things that you do so well, LeAnn, that is not my strong suit.
Mm.
The automation, I'm always looking for ways to automate in my business personally because I stress that so much with the financials. I think it's very important. So I'm looking for someone like you who knows their stuff, who can really help a business owner position themselves. That's not something I can do. So I think it's a smart investment to bring in people who can give you that help and that guidance. So they will be a part, whoever this person is, will definitely be a part of my next step on the journey.
Well, that's exciting. And
Yeah.
it's a fun place to be in, but again, a little bit of like, oh, and when you look to hiring, and then what if it's not the right person? What do you
Mhm.
turn over? I've been blessed to work with several virtual assistants, and I know that they're doing stuff I'm not aware of at this point. And that makes me a little nervous too, because I'm like, oh, what if, one of them gets another
Yeah.
job or starts a family or whatever could happen. How would I? So there's a couple great books out there. I'm sure you've heard of The E Myth
I have.
Revisited. Yep, great book. Isn't her name Sarah in that book? I think her name might be Sarah
Oh, I don't
in that book.
remember.
It's right behind me. I could look. The other book here, do you see Traction? I think I'm pointing at it right
Yep.
now.
Traction.
Yep. Have you seen that or read it? Uh,
No.
Fabulous book, really about developing a values-driven business.
Oh,
What are your values? How do they, just know yourself. And then as
yes.
you build, make sure that you're bringing in people that match those values. Don't bring in somebody that doesn't match. Just
hmm
there's other people out there. Bring in
hmm
people who match, who know it, want it, can do it. And they go through all of that in this book. The same author wrote another book called Rocket Fuel. And that
Okay.
also came to mind because there's when bringing in people, there's a visionary, which you and I are visionaries. That's why we start businesses. But often there's somebody else that actually makes it happen.
hmm
And I'm also looking forward to having that point because boy, I sure love living in the realm of possibility. But I really need somebody to kind of ground me or say, let's put that aside for a minute, or remind me that it needs to stay in alignment with the whole purpose and serve my client, not
hmm
my fictional, maybe that client too. Right?
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation about starting a business and you'll just take anybody who comes, if they can fog a mirror, they're a great fit for you.
Right.
Um, and it is interesting. I think that I personally have seen in my business that people have come that matched where I was at that moment in time. So they were a great fit for at that time. And then there's just a natural transition to where they've moved on or whatever the case may be, but now the people who are coming to me who I can serve, they're a perfect fit for where I'm at right now.
Hmm.
And it's helpful because you really do start to recognize the importance of having a niche and being able to zero in and figure out how are you going to best serve the people who come to you. What is it, what kind of value are you going to add? Because I can't do that for everybody, but I can do it for these people over here and I can do it very well. So I think just being aware of who you are, like you said, but who you are, where you fit, and then just as much as I don't want to bring this word back into the pivot, just be ready to pivot. We heard a lot of that in 2020. It's time to pivot. But it's true, you do have to say, okay, this isn't working, so let me see what will
I
be a
still
good
like the
fit.
word pivot.
I like it. I like it. It just seemed like it was one of those words that was used all the time. So it makes me think about the COVID days.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
we should break that emotional tie for you at some point.
Yes, we should.
But let's not shit all over ourselves. Let's decide. Fascinating thing about the word decide. I don't know if you're a wordsmith too,
I
but
like words.
yeah, decide, CIDE, um, that ending means to end.
Hmm.
Decide cuts off the other possibilities.
Oh,
Ooh,
I like that.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
side. So, yeah, decide. So we decide this is, and it's that making that decision can just be scary. Like I decide one thing, another thing I heard you say that made me think, there's a phrase in business that who got you to where you are won't get you to your next stage.
Hmm.
And I think that's often true. And you've already experienced that in network marketing. A lot of people say that, who the friends who got you to one point, you just can't take it to the next stage with just the people you know. You're gonna have to go meet strangers, you know.
And I like to surround myself with people who are more intelligent than me, who have more experience than me, who are just different personality set than me. I think it's so important to, just recognize what they bring to the table and sit back and listen and learn. It's invaluable.
2 years,
Mhm.
one mouth.
Exactly.
And truly, surrounding yourself with people that you can learn from and grow towards and grow with means so much. But when you do get to that level, then, it may be time to find other people that you can emulate and work towards and accept as mentors. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's always a work in progress. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it is. I've got one lady who is seasoned business owner, and I call her my mentor. And she has said things to me that they've touched on some spots and been a little uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, her advice has always been good. It's been right on. It's what I needed to hear at that moment. So it's, get over your ego, Sarah, and take it in and learn from it. So
Yes, indeed. Well, we are, believe it or not, already almost, well, we're kind of wrapping up already. So I know you have a gift that you wanted to offer to the audience. We'll get back to that. I also want to invite you to share where people can find you. How can they connect with you? What's your strong suit? Like for me, somebody said recently, I can't find your email anyway. I'm like, anywhere. I'm like, good.
yeah.
Excellent. That is amazing. I don't want email, but you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on, Facebook, easy, Instagram, even, everything is under my name. So let us know where people can find you and you can share that gift as well. While you're thinking about that for a second, just a quick reminder, we are going to stay on Zoom for a little bit here. We are going to stop this recording though. So if you ever thought you wanted to ask one of us a question, you can still come over to winwinwomen.tv, click the little green button at the top, and come on over and you can ask Sarah or myself any questions you'd like before we wrap up at the top of the hour. So it's been a joy having you here, Sarah. How can people connect with you?
Yeah, so my website is www.stewardshipadvisoryservices.com. You can schedule a free consultation call there if you want to talk through some options and just meet with me. That's great. You can send me an email. I like emails. I'm Sarah, Sara, at stewardshipadvisoryservices.com. Instagram, I am the Skilled Steward. That's how you find me there. And I'm on YouTube. I can't remember what my handle is on YouTube. I've got TikTok. That TikTok is Skilled Steward also. So I'm all over the place, except I'm not on Facebook. I got off of there.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
And LinkedIn. On LinkedIn too.
And if you're listening to this show, she did say that she would offer you a discount on her financial cleanup package if you mention the show. That's on you, though, as the listener. You got to bring it up. You're not going to find it on her website. So, but thank you for that gift. That was very kind of you to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me.
But go get that free gift from her first. See if she's the right fit for you. And then
Hmm.
if she is, of course, take advantage of the gift that she's offered. Any final words, Sarah? What would you like the world to know?
I would just like the world to know that money is not as scary as everybody makes it out to be, and just start, just get started, take that first step, find somebody who can help you. But yeah, I'm just so excited to have had an opportunity to be here, and thankful for your invitation, LeAnn. And yeah, it's been a great day.
One of my greatest joys is that as this rolls forward, people who've been on my show are inviting other people to talk to me and be on my show, and that's super fun. And it's
Yeah,
just rolling forward, and it also lets me know I'm doing the right thing. I'm in the right place. And so for anybody listening, and Sarah, on your behalf, I'm going to say thank you for joining us on this journey to unleash your joyful business potential. And remember that leadership is a voyage that we take. So keep shining and aligning with your purpose. And come on back next week and every week at 2 p.m. Pacific time, exclusively on winwinwomen.tv for our next inspiring episode. So until next time, this is LeAnn and Sarah, your Chief Joy Officer here, signing off. Keep leading with heart, and I'll catch you on the next wave of success. Farewell, and keep spreading the joy.